Isola, Blackstone, Cronin, Sedano. Let's start with some trivia for a bonus point or two. You ready? You got to be the first to answer. The last NFL team to repeat as Super Bowl champions.
Patriots.
What year? Give me more.
2-4-4.
Sedano and Cronin, I'll split it. When was the last team to say their goal was to repeat as Super Bowl champions? Every team has done that. Kansas City makes their case. And check out the new throwbacks. Today is going to be the day I'm going to throw it on back to you. Let's go around the horn. Football. When you look into a hole, sometimes you see rocks at the bottom. That's usually called rock bottom. But what you don't realize is those rocks have bottoms, and they are rocks too. So that's not just talking the rocky bottom of the rock bottom. Could the Yankees be at the rocky bottom of the rock bottom is the question we start with. Last night, 2 hit by the Angels. Anthony Rizzo, who's about the iciest hitter in baseball right now, called it a low point for their season. 50 and 46. Only 2.5 games out of the playoffs as we have expanded the wild card. But Frank, I turn to you in New York. Is this the low point? What will it take? Could it just be the return of Judge? Or should they think about blowing it all up?
Whoa, blow it up on July 19th? Are you cray-cray? Aaron Judge is taking batting practice, and I get it. They lost 2 of 3 to the lowly Rockies. They're getting smoked by the Angels. But if you do get Aaron Judge back, that changes everything about that lineup. And to your point, the expanded playoffs, not on July 19th, not the New York Yankees. And as bad as it looks, they're in a good division. Their record is better than every team in the AL Central. So put it into perspective. They are right there. If they can get that big bat returning to the lineup, they're okay.
Incredible patience and calm from the paddlers in New York
July 19th.
here when it comes to the Yankees. Kevin Blackstone?
Well, I'll just say this. There's only one team that's batting worse in the AL than the Yankees, and that's the historically absolutely horrible team known as the Oakland Athletics, who are batting so poorly that we tried to take a guy's perfect game away from him because he played it against them. So you're talking about bringing back Aaron Judge to this lineup. Would he help? Yeah, he'll help. But let's not forget, when he went out after he stubbed his toe in the outfield, they really weren't that good then on offense. I mean, they were missing a lot of guys due to injuries, and the guys who were there really weren't doing much with their bats. So I don't think that just bringing back Aaron Judge is going to solve the problems that the Yankees have. This is just not a very good hitting team, and the only thing that's really keeping them above water, and that being 500, is some mediocre pitching. So I don't think that they bounce back just with Aaron Judge.
Cronin, bring you in here, the predicament for the Yankees.
I just love when scapegoats get vindicated. It doesn't seem like their hitting coach that they just fired, Dylan Lawson, was the problem. This is a middling offense that it has been for a while, even before Aaron Judge ended up hurting his toe. I don't think that they're sellers, though, for all the panic and wanting to blow this thing up. They still have Garrett Cole in their prime. They're 2.5 games out of a wild card spot. They're going to end up going all in and buying at the deadline. The problems have been everything around Aaron Judge. They've started 9 players in left field. DJ LeMahieu, Josh Donaldson have been average, underperforming at third base. They need some pitching depth. They have a litany of a long list of things that they need to do.
Average for Josh Donaldson is not even at 150. That's not average. That's way below average. And this is, I cannot believe what I'm hearing here. About to be the biggest movie in America is going to be Oppenheimer. Blow it up for me, George Sedano. There we go. All right.
Bring it to me, Tony Reali. First of all, Frank Isola, they would be in first in the AL Central. Well, unfortunately, they play in the AL East where they're last right now. So let's not talk about the AL Central right now. Tony, you mentioned it earlier. This team, I grew up watching this team, rooting for this team, loving this team as a kid. They went 15 years before I saw them win a championship growing up as a kid, okay? Which is unheard of in Yankee lore. But they went from being the most impatient team when I was growing up to being the most patient team. If George Steinbrenner were alive right now, first of all, he'd be rolling in his grave as we speak at the moment, but he would have blown this thing up a long time ago. They were a middling offense, as Courtney mentioned earlier, and now they're a bottom third offense since Judge has been out. And by the way, it's not just the offense. Their pitching has been bottom third in the league as well. So they have a terrible offense, terrible pitching. It is time to completely blow this
Does
thing up.
that
And
include
Brian
the
Cashman,
manager
hold on.
position? Does that include the general manager?
No, it's not the manager. It's not the manager. The manager, to me, is a middle manager in this situation. This is about the guy who constructed the team. Brian Cashman has skated for a long, long time in this particular situation with this particular team because the new group, the children, the Steinbrenner children, are so much more patient than their father was. If the father was still around, Cashman would have been gone 5-6 years ago.
Frank, I got to bring you back in here because the numbers for this team are just. Do you know there was a day in May where Anthony Rizzo and Shohei Ohtani had the same number of home runs? And since then, it's 24-0 Ohtani over Rizzo. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, and I do think the Steinbrenner ownership, it's more detached from the team than anything else. I think the philosophy has to change. This whole feast or famine that the Yankees are all about. Josh Donaldson is batting 142. He has 10 home runs. He has 15 hits. He has 5 hits that aren't home runs. I mean, by accident, can you get a bloop single? But I will say this about George. He wants to blow things up for teams that are going through the motions during the regular season. I don't remember him saying about the Miami Heat when they were 7-8 and going through the motions. He didn't say blow it up then.
Basketball.
So why do the Yankees have to blow it up in mid-July?
What are we talking about here?
It's
a different
close
sport.
to the
What are we
playoffs.
talking about?
I don't know. That's a stretch there. I saw that you're trying to stir it up. I respect that, but that's a stretch. Blackistone, I'll bring you in here.
I was going to say, I grew up hating this team, and I don't recall them getting blown up. What I recall them doing is just going out with a big checkbook and bringing in whoever they need to fix things, and that would be who? Shohei Ohtani.
All right, so, I mean, they can still be buyers. If the idea is just to get into the playoffs and make some noise, that has been a strategy. All you need to do is, but they haven't won in the playoffs. They haven't hit in the playoffs. They haven't pitched in the playoffs. Courtney Cronin, Frank Isola, hitting like the Yankees right now in negative numbers. We'll move on. No NFL repeat in 19 years, as we said at the start of the show. But could Kansas City be the one to break through? Patrick Mahomes, he's at camp, and he's talking it up. He says it's motivation for this team to be the first repeat champion since those 04 Patriots. Courtney, let's play odds makers here. How realistic is a repeat for Kansas City?
Well, the competitive balance in the NFL is the reason we haven't seen a repeat champion in nearly 2 decades. But if you want to take the Chiefs versus the field, it's a smart bet right now. Why? Because they have Patrick Mahomes, Tony. This is somebody who in his first 6 seasons is the only player in NFL history to win multiple championships and multiple league MVPs. And he's coming off arguably his best season to date. Career high completion percentage, led the league in total QBR, in passing touchdowns, had the second highest passer rating too. They have a schedule that is beyond favorable. If they start out 6-0, you heard it here first. That's going to lead them to the Super Bowl. It's a cakewalk until about week 7 when they face the Chargers. And in Mahomes' first 3 seasons, they started out 4-0. 2 of those years wound out with the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
All right. So for the odds maker game, you said you'll take Kansas City over the field. That means it's over 50% that they repeat. Give me a number.
I'll go ahead and say 55% that they
George
will repeat.
Sedano, where are you? KC versus the field. KC is repeat champions.
I think if you're going to repeat, if you look at the teams historically that have repeated, they have an elite quarterback, a Hall of Fame level quarterback, and they certainly have that, as Courtney mentioned, with Patrick Mahomes. So, here, bad word, my bad. All right, but here's what they do have. Beyond Mahomes and the incredible offense that they have 10 rookies that played in the Super Bowl this past season, which means that they've got guys who can still get better on this team, and their pass rush is good. They put pressure on the quarterback nearly as well as anybody in the National Football League. That's a recipe for a chance to succeed and repeat.
Come on, guys, play the odds maker game here. You guys, it's an open audition for PTI. You're not giving me the number,
I'll give you a number.
Give me the number.
Okay, I'll give you the number. I'll give it 49%.
Frank Isola, odds maker.
I'll go with 51%, and it's all because of Patrick Mahomes. He is the most dominant team athlete in any sport, anywhere. When they lose, I look at it as a fluke. The guy is that dominant, and here's the issue. If they get the number 1 seed, and then they get a bye, then they get to play that first playoff game at home, they win it, then they get another home playoff game and go to the Super Bowl, they're almost unbeatable. They go for it on 4th down. The way that this guy has played, Tom Brady is, for my money right now, still the greatest of all time. This guy has changed the way teams play. How many teams now go for it on 4th down? And with him, you're confident that he can get it. It's amazing what he could do. That's why they're going to
Kevin Blackstone.
I mean, this team is all but a lock to be back in the Super Bowl and to win the Super Bowl. Look, over the last 5 years, they've won 64 football games in the regular season. Only 2 other teams have won that many in a 5-year span in the history of this league. 11 playoff games. Only 1 team, the Patriots, have won that many in a 5-year span. They've got the best player, Mahomes. They traded the most electric player in the league in Tyreek Hill before last season for all those draft picks that turned into starters that Sedano just mentioned. And guess what? They just kept on rolling without him. This team is absolutely awesome. They got a smart they have smart management. They got a smart coach. They got great players. They're young. They are going to keep coming.
You called it a lock. Wait, I mean, now we're playing odds maker. I mean,
Exactly.
a lock, it's 100%.
Who's coming in second? As Larry Bird would say, who's coming in second?
All right.
Oh, wow.
But again, I don't know if you guys
99
master the game
99 out
odds
of
makers
100.
here. You need to
That's
come
my-
up with a
that's my
number.
odds.
I mean, those postseason wins, they mean a lot, especially in this generation of football. You'll recall the first 20, 30 years of the Super Bowl weren't playing as many playoff games to get through there. That's why they're at the top of that list. All right, so that's it. Only one person had under 50%. Did I sell that? 49. We'll take a break. Buy or sells next.
George at 49.
Me.
All-star skills competitions. Basketball is dunk and 3, baseball home run derby. Soccer has hit the crossbar from a million miles out. Look at this, all right? And goalie wars. Check this out, okay? This is kind of like a dodgeball goalie version, won by Isaac Walker of Charlotte FC. Tonight, the game. It's MLS versus Arsenal. Will Messi be in attendance? We don't know. He will not play because the team was already selected before he signed. That's at least what we're hearing from MLS. He debuts with Inter Miami Friday. Frank Isola on tonight's All-Star Game and whether MLS is missing out by not having Messi play.
100% they are. Lionel Messi should be on a plane right now along with Sergio Busquets, who looks just like our very own Tony Reali. They should both be available for night. Put Lionel Messi in the game with about 10 minutes to go. Hope you get a free kick from about 25 to 30 yards out and let him have a go. It's Lionel Messi, for crying out loud. He should be in D.C. tonight.
Devin Blackstone.
A lot of people in D.C. don't even know the All-Star Game is here tonight. But what they do know is that Messi's in Miami, that he's at a Publix buying a whole bunch of sugary cereal, and that he's playing on Friday night, and that you can't buy his jersey because it's sold out, and you can't get a ticket because they're too expensive. It's fine that he's coming on Friday. Everybody will be tuned into that.
So, best interest of the team is that he has energy. Is that what you're worried about? That he's gonna be tired from today's All-Star game?
10 minutes.
Yeah.
10
The fact that people in D.C. don't know it's there, you're not getting points for that. Courtney Cronin, please.
I'm going to be the semantics queen here and just want to point out that he hasn't played in an MLS game just yet to be considered for the MLS All-Star process. Just throwing that out there. His PSG season ended June 3rd. He hasn't had much time to train, to prepare for his MLS career, to take off. He's been through kind of a lot the last couple of weeks before this deal was able to go through. We're going to see him 2 days from tonight against Cruz Azul. It'll be fine.
He hasn't had time
10
to
minutes.
train for this All-Star game, George Sedano.
10 minutes.
Should Messi be out there for MLS and for Inter Miami, or should he have his debut on Friday?
Yes, Tony, he should be out there. But real quick on KB, I just want to let you know that my investigative reporting says the game is sold out tonight in D.C. So maybe you couldn't score a ticket, KB, which I find shocking, to be honest with you. But yes, with Lionel Messi, for a league that's done, in my opinion, and I mean this in a positive way, has been so calculated in the way they've done business recently with this Apple deal, getting Messi here, making all that work financially, to not get it done so he could appear at their All-Star game was a huge loss, in my opinion.
KB, I'll give you the last word here.
If you want to promote Messi in the MLS, then don't have it on streaming. Have it on free TV so everybody can watch
now
it.
you're a TV executive.
Either
All right,
here
I'm
or
yeah.
on Friday.
MLS, just MLS, not
Richard
the
Deitch
MLS.
over here.
We'll move on. The Sixers say they will only trade James Harden if it keeps them title contenders. That's straight from the mouth of Daryl Morey. George, buy or sell that being a possibility, that there's a trade out there if they were to trade Harden like he wants, that keeps them title contenders.
Tony, I mean, I buy it, but I don't think it's likely. If he's going to go to the Clippers, are you trading Paul George? Like, I don't know if I think the Clippers will be willing to do that. I think they have a lot of guys on their roster that can match that salary. But here's the thing. If you're Daryl Morey, if I'm James Harden, I'm like, yo, I took a pay cut last year for you. I took this deal that was below market for you, and now you don't want to move me? Daryl Morey is playing with fire here, I think.
Frank Isola?
Well, remember, Daryl Morey did the same thing with Ben Simmons, and it worked out. And what about a guy like Norman Powell if he came from the Clippers over to Philadelphia? It's the same exact situation as what's going on in Portland. The only difference is the Miami media and the Miami fans are not putting pressure on Daryl Morey. Poor Joe Crone, who keeps getting beaten
I just
up
did right
for
now.
taking his time.
Kevin Blackstone.
How easy is it going to be to get a really important and contributional piece for James Harden, given that this is the third time in the past 29 months that he's asked out of a team? How can you trust this guy if you want to be a winner? So I don't think that's something that's actually going to be able to happen.
40 Cronin.
I'm selling that Daryl Morey thinks he can get what he believes James Harden's worth. Did the Clippers not watch James Harden in the postseason like the rest of us go 3 of 11 for 9 points in Game 7? That's not a piece that you want that's going to make your team better. So they're going to be sitting on this one for a while in Philadelphia.
You're not wrong. He did not play well in Game 7 or Game 6. He did win 2 games earlier in the series for his team, which is 2 more than Joel Embiid did carrying the
MVP
team.
did. You're right.
Series. We'll move on. The Open Championship. Rory McIlroy coming in hot. Won the Scottish Open last week. But he's coming in ice cold on a 9-year major drought. Courtney, buy or sell Rory for the Open Championship?
Ooh, I'm going with my heart here, Tony. What I saw from Rory on the 17th and 18th at the Scottish last week when he birdied those final 2 holes, we know in his last 10 majors, he's finished, top 6 or top 7. He won at Royal Liverpool in 2014. Rory, don't do this to me. Do not make me look stupid. I am going with Rory versus the field.
Yeah, you talked yourself into it. Kevin Blackstone, buy or sell Rory?
Well, the only panelist here who's covered the British Open at Royal Liverpool and who the other week gave you Djokovic's streak being broken. I am telling you right now that Rory's streak also will be broken and that he will bring home for himself a tournament win here to put on his mantelpiece.
All right, that's 2 now. Now we got 2. Frank Isola?
Yeah, this course off the tee plays really well right to left. That's how Rory plays. That's why he won in 2014. He didn't have his best stuff at the Scottish Open last week, and I'm still taking the field.
Okay, all right, yes.
Sorry.
You almost had me there with golf right to left. And Sedano, how about you?
Tone, not only top 6 finishes in his last 10 majors, to Courtney's point, but he's finished a runner-up 3 times. Runner-up. But you know what? I'm with Isola. I hate to say
When the
this. I'm
field
taking
is
the field.
available, you're taking the field? All right.
Yeah.
Blackstone has been on fire
Smart
with his
move by
picks. He had Alcaraz. He takes Rory now. He had the Cincinnati Reds last week. Wait a second. Oh, they haven't won a game since you picked them. Well, that's all right. Gordy Cronin, Kevin Blackstone, thanks for the time.
Pick the Chiefs.
Sedano, Isola, that's our showdown next.
The rivalry continues now.
Isola, Sedano, good luck in showdown. Look at the baseball scores from last night. Look at all the double digits. 12 double-digit scores. We looked this up so you don't have to. It was the most double-digit scores on one particular day in a baseball season since 94. 1894. George, is this funny fluke or fluky fun?
No, it's fluky fun, Tony, and I love it. And the funny thing that stood out to me was all the teams in the AL Central scored 10 or more runs. You know, Isola's beloved AL Central. You know, the Yankees would be in first place there.
Isola, good callback.
All right, well, since you went down that road, Boston didn't score any runs on a night where a lot of teams scored runs. There were 3 games that were 11-10. You can go through a whole baseball season and not see one of those. Last night, there were 3 of them. Pretty amazing.
Arizona, Atlanta was off the rails. Chicago, Mets. I mean, these games they were also back and forth games. It wasn't just like a lot of runs on the score. Great day. We'll move on. Teams unveiling throwbacks and new looks. Here we go. Seahawks did their rollout today. A whole 90s feel here in the old helmets. A 90s Microsoft bit. Vikings yesterday. Browns yesterday. They're not brown for a few games this year. They'll be white like they were in the 1940s. And the Bucks last week, the creamsicle we know so well. Frank, who's throwing it back best this year?
Well, if you're the Vikings, you have to have 44 for the great Chuck Foreman, one of my favorite players. But why would the Buccaneers wear that jersey? They once went winless in a season wearing that creamsicle. Makes no sense. And poor Baker Mayfield. Ooh.
George,
Well, Tony, the creamsicle makes a ton of sense. I love me some Vinny Testaverde and Steve DeBerg. And you know what? They're probably going to play just like those teams this particular season.
0-14.
Throwback jerseys has you guys, just name guys. This is the game we always like to play. Steve DeBerg,
Chuck
Vinny
Foreman.
Testaverde, Chuck Foreman. And then for the Seahawks, that is Kurt Warner with a C. That is Steve Largent. That's Kenny Easley. Love that logo. Sedano gets the win.
Tony, thank you. Today, I want to make sure that everyone knows that the king of Hollywood is Christopher Nolan. 12th movie, Oppenheimer, coming out. If you haven't seen some of his older movies like Following or Memento, you should see that. Obviously, Inception, all the Batman movies. This man changed the game, okay? After The Dark Knight did not get a Best Picture nod, they went to 10 nominations. This is why he's the king on top of the great content, Tony.
Sedano,
he must be invited to his house.
Around the popcorn.
He's looking for an invite.
There we go. Movie tickets.
I'm a Spielberg guy.